Alright, now it's time for our next assignment, the Scorpion Sentinel, as mentioned. Hassan Heidegger.
Tells me you're quite the shot. Shame those skills are wasted on cleaning up literal filth instead of enemies of a state. But no matter. As head of public security, my job is to keep the city safe. And one of the most effective ways to do that is through the deployment of the devastating weaponry. My Scorpion Sentinel can snuff out insurgents before they even start reaching for their white flag. Professor Hojo thinks his test subjects could quell riots better than a heavy weapons platform. To prove just how wrong he is, I propose a challenge for him. If one of his juiced-up lab rats could even scratch my Sentinel, I volunteer to be his next test subject. I have no doubt my machine stood the test against his mewling varmints, but I still need the Sentinel washed down. After all, isn't that what his beloved scientific process calls for? Evidence.
So basically, clean up the Sentinel after it fought with one of Hojo's labs.
Yeah, and now it's covered in Nickelodeon gag, apparently. So yeah, we're in the generic hangar. Again, it still has the aesthetic of a macro reactor and stuff, so it's time to clean up again this. And yeah, by the way, it is active.
Yes, wash the battle machine while
Scorpion
it's active.
Sentinel, one of Shinra's greatest achievements in military robotics. Your identity has already been stored in its database as non-target. So stop worrying about getting shot at and start scrubbing. You're quite safe. For now.
Good to know.
That's something I want to hear when I'm cleaning a giant
especially
machine.
especially under its junk. Remind me again, Jova or Dwibs or Pedro, what was that quote from Transformers?
I'm directly below the enemy scrotum.
God.
Look, it's a high digger. Look, it's a high digger guarantee that you're safe, despite it being active. You can trust him.
So,
I mean, you can probably trust him more than you can trust Hojo, so...
Also, this particular set of package, which by the way I haven't talked about it, is actually one of the few free updates that they gave to the game. Being a Square Enix still property to an extent, you know. Both this and the Tomb Raider package were actually added as free updates instead of actually paid DLC as a gesture of goodwill, you know. Stuff like SpongeBob or, you know, Warhammer 40k or Shrek are instead, you know, something you have to pay for, but I can kind of understand, you know, proper third-party stuff. This one introduces also a bit of a mechanic that you normally don't do that in the game, actually altering the objects that you have to, you have to clean. You might notice a prompt, you will see later. I'm able to actually command the Scorpion, since, you know, it has, it's still active, to actually raise or lower its cannon arms. That way I can actually have a better control over seeing actually the surfaces that I have to clean.
You're recognized as not a threat until the job is done.
Yeah, that seems the vibe we're getting, yes.
Yeah, that way he can get out of paying you.
Yes, Jova?
You know, that would be such a Shinra thing to do. I'm guessing also so that you don't have to jump up to get it. Like,
oh, you do have a jump, but I'll explain after the next set of messages that you get. You do have, again, other tools at your disposal, believe it or not.
Hey, if you're available, I have
also, hi Tifa.
I'm sorry, how are you on this frequency?
How did you get this number?
To know more about the Sentinel's myriad capabilities.
Sorry, some woman interrupted.
No, actually, I just want to clean and move on. So.
Its tail is far deadlier than that of the creature it's modeled after, and its 6 tapered legs let it get straight to the point, if you will.
Is Heidegger trying to sell this thing to us?
Yeah, it's like
they're starting to sound more and more like a sales pitch.
It's like Billy
But
Mays.
wait, there's more!
98 cannons and Mark 99 launchers.
Here's all the ways in which
9.
this thing can kill you.
Basically, there you go. Darn it, we're not gonna make it. Let's speed up. But here's the thing, Jova. Again, depending on the mission, because you're given them at the beginning, you might get a stool, which is more of a joke. You do have a jump button. Again, you have to treat it like a proper FPS, you know. You have a stool, which is more of a joke, a set of ladders, which can be actually, you know, placed in strategically context points, so you cannot just put them willy-nilly, but they do allow you to climb up a particular surface and gain a different point of view, so you can actually, you know, properly clean up the dirt that is, you know, maybe inaccessible at that moment. And you also have a scaffolding, you know, but you might have noticed that in the background.
Think we would stop there? Of course not.
Well,
It had to be even better, more deadlier.
We also outfitted it with close-range EM field and self-repair functionality. With this bevy of features, it's nigh unstoppable.
Not
Unless somebody with
self-clean, so...
But yeah, the scaffolding you might notice in the background, you can actually literally pick it up, rotate it, and place it close to the structure so you can gain, you know, an elevated advantage, and actually maybe jump on top of it, you know, to gain again a different point of view. Again, there's a special disbelief of how our brave protagonist, you know, is managing to do that, but you know, suspension disbelief and all.
those flashing yellow patches, I'm guessing those are your hints of, hey, this is still dirty, clean it.
That's me using the highlight dirt button. You know, again, it's your best friend because again, it's one of your best friends. And if I recall correctly, it was one of the things that was added, you know, in a patch. Again, poor people like Markiplier kinda had to be beta tested for it because this came out in early access. Again, you have to remember that despite having the backup of the Square Enix Collective, this was still released in early access and later on got updated over the years. It was actually the passion of the fans who actually stuck around that helped the game grow, you know, in this case.
Nice.
Which I appreciate.
We've received reports of gang activity in the Sector 5 Undercity. Most likely Don Corneo's lackeys. I briefly considered deploying the Scorpion against them, but realized they are the definition of small fry. It would be a waste of company resources to eliminate them.
That feeling when the flipping military man cared more about that than the president.
A much more fitting target would be those eco-terrorists.
the company I work
go
for
by
cares a
the
lot
name
about small fry.
Avalanche.
You know, the ironic thing is that Heidegger probably had more sense in that, since going off of President Shinra's logic, he
If
probably
they
would have
want to
sent
poke
everything
the
against
bear,
them.
They had best be ready to deal with its claws.
Meanwhile, the cleaner's like, who the fuck is Avalanche?
Well, you don't know it, but you were recently contacted by a
Again,
from Avalanche.
while our protagonist has no virtual personality whatsoever, you know, you might want to think of them, never specify the gender, so they can, you know, be an avatar for the player, you know. They can be possibly identified as a classic blue-collar worker, you know, just doing the job, not giving a shit of what's around them, you know. Still having a good morality about saving the day via cleaning, of course, but not having too much of an intricacies of, you know, caring about things.
I love how some
Which
of these
ironically
positions...
kind of fits with the FPS mentality of old school stuff like Doom.
Yep. You know, some of the positions you're putting them in make it suggest that they're floating around Looney Tunes style while cleaning some of these things.
Yeah, you basically take advantage of every single, you know, border of a surface that you can get. Anyway, just to mention, while this was successful, the Square Enix collective project as a whole was probably not as successful as, you know, EA's indie program equivalent. They still managed to produce decent enough titles like Forgotten N, which is a, you know, point-and-click 2D hand-drawn adventure. I'll probably try to do it, you know, someday since I still have my PC copy. But then there was the attempt to revitalize the Fear Effect franchise, which really did not went well, basically. And now, well, okay, it's not like it's complete garbage, but they tried to make a sequel to it called Sentinel, third game, because the game did have a sequel originally, and was not really well received. Then they were trying to do a remake of the first game, but it really went nowhere, and now the IP is owned by the Embracer Group, as far as I know. So,
Didn't they just release a remake of it though?
it's the re-release of the original version, Bleeps, instead.
I swear, if I had a nickel for every tragic game story I've heard that culminates with, and then they were acquired by the Embracer Group, I'd have a fortune.
It's more about because of recent event. They still stand on the idea that.
I imagine Reeve fed you some feel-good truck about his plans for the future, didn't he?
Which are most unorthodox.
He sees the world through rose-colored glasses. What he doesn't realize is those lenses are coated with the blood of our adversaries. After all, our company began as a weapons manufacturer for a reason.
A bit earlier, I got it mixed up. I got it mixed up with System Shock.
Oh yeah, System Shock got a complete remake thanks to Night Dive, but yeah, that's another thing entirely. But no, again, I still stand that, you know, the company's tied to the Embracer Group mostly to exclude it because Deep Silver is another kind of worms. You know, we're technically doing fine up until a very few years ago because, you know, the stuff that they acquired, they genuinely had managed to create ports, re-releases, and, you know, new titles like, say, Titan Quest, Destroy All Humans, for example, and even Darksiders got, you know, new games out of it. We'll have to see
So
what
where
the
did it all go wrong?
I'm guessing Deep Silver mostly, you know, taking, being, you know, more properly, you know, integrating that, and, you know, the release of a couple of very bad games. Again, Deep Silver gave us stuff like, you know, enabled studios like Volition with what they did to the Saints Row reboot, which we know how that went, you know, so there's that. But again, that's not the topic for today. My point is that the Square Enix Collective is still technically going this day, but this is basically the only major big success that they had. Again, Forgotten Enemy is still a good game from what I've seen, but not as super big or resonating with all of the audience. It's the kind of game that is very, very beloved by people who played it, but not many know about it, basically.
Which is a shame. I will say, I do find it a bit weird that, you know, for the Midgar stuff that Square didn't lend their music to use for this. Like,
that's a thing that all the game does it. That's a bizarre choice. Again, in the entirety of the game, you have no music whatsoever until the credit, which has I think even a licensed song, not even an original soundtrack. Again, probably because it's a very small indie and they did not wanted to have a composer for them, I suppose. But it's still a bit of a shame.
I guess if I was Square, I would have at least let them use Final Fantasy music for, you know, the Final Fantasy section, if only to,
again,
you know...
it's probably also to limit the licensing, you know, to have less legal nightmare.
True. You know...
Discographic rights are still a pain in the ass, basically.
Yeah, it feels like an extension of just copyright law in general being way more complicated than it needs to be.
There we go.
Typically, there we go. Like, typically, the way it used to be before Disney screwed things up back in the day was, hey, if a person was alive, they pretty much controlled it. Once they were dead, fair enough, you get the bits here. But then, ever since things got screwed up, now it's not just about this person who's alive who created something owns it. Now it can be a case where even if somebody did legally create something, it can technically not be their own based off of how some stipulations can go.
As seen with Watchmen, as we noticed during the commentary of that.
And apparently even with, like, translations or localizations, like, again, it hasn't been fully confirmed, but it pretty much is more or less commonly known that part of the reason we didn't get graded Ace Attorney for a while was because Capcom were afraid of the legal ramifications from the Conan Doyle estate regarding certain stories of Sherlock Holmes,
yeah.
Which is partly why they eventually just settled on, you know, calling the character Sherlock Holmes, which is, funnily enough, a trick that's actually pretty old, since that's how that Arsène Lupin crossover,
the original
crossover came to be.
If only they'd waited.
Yeah, for the... Well, technically speaking, Dweebs, well, it's not for Capcom, but on the other side, Dweebs, because Disney also had a problem with that with the Edgar Rice Burroughs estate, or when it comes to Tarzan media. This is why Tarzan stuff has never appeared anymore in Kingdom Hearts. But since now it's completely, in the public domain, I guess it can show up again. Not sure why would you do it, because I'm not sure how much of the series you can potentially adapt, into Kingdom Hearts, but if you want, I guess.
I guess they could potentially do the series, but I'll admit, look, I like Tarzan the movie, but I'll admit, and mind you, this is just mainly off of the fact that I don't care for Deep Jungle, which, to be fair, from what I understand, that's a sentiment a lot of KH players have. I'm okay with Tarzan having its one and done.
Alright, just a
Showed
few
up,
remaining.
Although I will admit, as a kid, I was surprised that it did not come back in Chain of Memories, but now I know why.
Yeah. There we go.
Job complete.
Let's remove the...
Very well. Well done. You have succeeded in your mission.
Now
Fire!
die, basically.
As I suspected, not even a fleck of paint out of place. I couldn't ask for a better condition of which to present this to Hojo. Perhaps that smug hack needs to spend more time ensuring his specimen's combat capabilities, and less turning them into macabre monstrosities. Either way, I shall relish the look on his face when I break the news.
Heidegger kind of does have a point. It feels like
Alright,
Hojo
next up
focuses more on...
is the job at Tifa asked, the Seventh Heaven.
We've been having lots of trouble with Don Corneo and his grunts for a while, but last night took it to a whole other level. We stormed into Seven Heaven unannounced, ordered the entire menu twice over, and proceeded to spill it on every possible surface. I would have beat the snot out of every one of those thugs right there and there, but then we'd have a lot more trouble on our hands than a few small-time gangsters. Anyway, my friend's daughter, Marlene, has been hanging out here a lot, so I want the place squeaky clean for her. I'd do it myself, but it's almost 0 hour on a job I've got over in Sector 1. So I need the speed of a pro. I'd really appreciate it if you could get the ball looking good as new. Thanks.
I love this. We just got done fixing up... Oh, wait, never mind. That's not the job. But still, though,
Alright,
so
what happens if I activated the dirt elevating button?
Oh my god!
What
Jesus!
the fuck happened?
Were they having a food fight?
Like, did they literally crap all over the place?
By the way, I'm basically just to mention, which joke I'm borrowing. Hold on. After this.
Yes,
you wanna
it is upsetting.
You want to maybe elaborate on what exactly happened?
Like, I know she said they trashed the place.
Again,
but this
apparently
like...
she mentioned that she mentioned that Cloud and Barrett went into a fight with some Don Corneo's goons. Like, what the fuck happened?
What exactly? Okay, first off, if that were to happen, I'm pretty sure Cloud and Barrett would force those thugs outside first.
I'm guessing.
Oh no! Don't worry, Pedro. Again, while the characters do not make an appearance, I will show later. Barrett's Gatling gun and Cloud's sword are here, and they're dirty not with blood, but with some type of organic goop.
Why does the room shine yellow?
It's the dirt elevating button.
Wait, hang on.
There you go.
Hang
There's the Buster Sword.
Hang on a minute. Cloud.
Jesus Christ!
Cloud, ex-soldier. Why are you leaving your Buster Sword behind?
And there's Barrett's gun arm again. What the fuck happened?
Did you leave the Buster Sword in the midst of a fucking swamp?
Again, supposedly they fought a bunch of ghouls from Don Corneo. Like, were they genetically augmented and they have green blood or something?
I am unconvinced by this explanation. Please deliver another one.
But anyway, just to mention again, the initial joke about the dirt highlighting button, showcasing that. I'm taking that from Maximilian. If you have time, watch he actually did a stream about this, and there's a highlight on the actual YouTube channel. And yeah, he literally starts this level like this in Battlement. He's not very accustomed to this kind of game, nor he has played much of FPSs. So, his reaction is a bit more casual than anything, but it's still a relatively good time.
Oh
yeah, just clean the door.
So yeah, by the way, this is the most difficult of the jobs because it is the biggest place and that's the most things you have to clean up. Yes.
Yeah, no shit.
Instead of having an escalation, you're smack dab in the middle with a difficulty spike tag.
No, I'm sorry though. This is not a difficulty spike. This is a difficulty stalagmite. I just
like I'll be honest. I thought when I think power wash, granted, yes, you can power wash houses, but still, I would have thought it would have mainly just been vehicles we were washing, but this... Holy cow, this is an Avengers level threat.
Tifa, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to charge exorbitantly for this.
I don't remember how much you get paid for this, but understandably, if I recall correctly, it is the one you get paid the most.
Which is ironic, given how last I checked, Avalanche were supposed to be tight on funds.
Yeah, not having much money, yeah.
But they apparently do the most expensive job.
Sorry, Shiri?
Even the roof is gross.
Yeah, everything is dirty. Again, because this operates on the purpose of the game where, if it's a tight space like this, a closed space, in order to give you that kind of a challenge, also, someone is playing... Well, I didn't notice, sorry. And if they give you that kind of challenge, they want to make sure that you can clean everything, but as a result, they need to make sure everything is dirty at the beginning, even no matter how implausible it may be.
Do I want to know what this grime covering everything is?
Okay, again, you can actually have an option in the menu that you can turn on that tells you what type of, dirt it is supposed to be if you highlight it, but I did not turn it on because it might be a bit intrusive. Also, cute stuff. If you clean up properly, you can definitely see the trapdoor, and it's even highlight the trapdoor under the pinball that is used for the elevator mechanism. Just to showcase the fact that Shinra really, really is dumb in not finding this place.
I mean, granted, did Shinra ever really frequent the bar?
No, but remember, other side stories and stuff said they did try to have spies, checking around. Even when you catch up again to Tifa in Don Corneo's place, he does mention that someone did snoop around the Seven Heaven, but they did not manage to find the actual hideout until someone blurred out instead. So
I'm wondering if maybe when the place is cleaned up, they'll better disguise the trapdoor.
Hopefully. There wasn't something like a carpet, even in the original game. It was literally just a trapdoor comically there, so I guess they wanted to represent that, especially because, again, these are assets, like you said, taken from the remake. I don't know if it's the same engine copy-pasted, I don't think so, but at the very least the same type of schematics, skeletons and stuff, color scheme and everything, taken for there. You also know that because if you pay attention, Heidegger told you about the Scorpion Sentinel having the same functionality of the ones in the remake, including, the barrier field, and even the stuff with you cleaning stuff like, say, the barrier generator, Anyway, I'm showcasing a bit also the prong. As you can see, again, depending on the distance that you have, it generates a set of three single shots that converge into one point, meaning that you have the equivalent of the yellow nozzle, but it cleans instantly everything, no matter how deep the dirt is. And I can tell you this. This particular set of missions do not showcase it, but the worst type of dirt that you find, as you can imagine if you have encountered any, is rust. Because if you don't use soap, it requires extensive cleaning, for you to actually properly do. And you have a lot of missions where you have to deal with it in the main game.
Probably wouldn't even have needed any materia.
Probably.
Speaking of which, you do know about materia and Mako, right?
Probably could use some water materia on this place.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Do you have a water material with you?
Holy cow.
Like a weird water bomb.
I
took it, sorry.
It's just like that skating Faith and Strife after Dark Force where they need to cool off despite having ice magic at the disposal.
Sorry, I needed to water the flowers.
The ancients thankfully learned how to crystallize it, and that's what we call materia.
To be fair, Ted, that's a problem with practically every RPG anyway.
Only occasionally they remember to have practical uses for the spells, like BB in the Ice Cave.
Hey, if it were me, do you think I'd be using materia for flowers?
I think Ni no Kuni, the first Ni no Kuni is the one RPG that actually tried to remember to integrate the spell in a mundane context.
Yuffie, given your usage of materia across the series, yes,
okay.
I could use you seeing.
There's technically speaking, there's also Golden Sun, but that's because Golden Sun is more of a hybrid between an RPG and a Zelda game, so there is that.
I guess if there's one thing I'll give later Pokemon games, they do pretty much incorporate how people use Pokemon in everyday lives outside of battle.
I mean,
so
they did start it already
nice.
with Gen 3 with the Matrox or Vigoroth, depending on the version.
Yeah,
helping
technically it was the anime that started doing that more often, and the games adopted it. Yeah.
Anyway, this is where the patience comes in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again,
I see it.
Again, you will not notice because of the editing, but I basically took it on 2 separate days to finish this one instead.
Oh wait.
I don't blame you.
Wait, hold on. When you say 2 separate days, do you mean like in universe or like out of universe?
Out of universe. The good news is that the autosave function is very frequent and not intrusive, and you can save at any point. So easily enough, you can just pop in, save, quit the game, and instantly reload to the point. You don't really have any loss of a checkpoint if you fail or something. Again, this is one of those games that's very cozy and doesn't point towards a challenge, but more like just having a relaxed time. Properly named because simulators games usually tend to do that, unless you're Desert Boss. But what can I say about that?
Interesting. So you can literally stop at any point, but save your progress essentially.
Yes. Again. The game tries its very best to make sure that you don't lose progress or everything that you do don't go to waste basically. So it's a case where even if you don't have the patience to do it, you can literally take this in bite-sized fashion and say, today I want to just clean this for 5 minutes and then stop potentially, and you can easily do that.
Are there like multiple save things? Like, say you're starting one run, but then you want to just start anew.
Okay,
the same
that
project.
Unfortunately no, but hold on.
Shinra, it's not as kind and selfless as it paints itself.
No shit.
No shit, but
But I heard from Heidegger and Reeve that they were doing it for the better society.
Tifa, I will give them credit on this though. They keep their shit clean better than you guys do.
She's never gonna live this down.
Poor Tifa.
And then her patrons come in, and then it was like, Tifa, is it true that some goons just came in and trashed the whole place?
Just blame Johnny. It works every time.
If we allow them to keep harvesting it, we're assuring the planet's destruction. Someone has to do something about this, and Avalanche has decided that someone is us.
Tifa, I'm just a cleaner. I don't want to get involved.
But that's the thing, Waves. Maybe she wants us to clean the corruption from the city, eh?
Ma'am, this is a Wendy's.
I'm just doing my job.
I get it. Corruption's bad, but Tifa, I'm pretty sure the Power Washer has enough stuff to think of with cleaning this absolute travesty of a mess.
It ain't much, but it's honest work.
I don't think he
needs
always
trying to get people to join her terrorist organization.
And then people might suspect that Avalanche might be the baddies.
Oh god. Tifa, did you join a cult?
Well, yes, remember, planetology is kind of retconning the remake mythos to be kind of like a cult.
Like, shoot, when you get down to it, if Shinra hadn't killed off Avalanche, would Avalanche have actually gone on to become worse than them?
Well, remember, the Before Crisis version was definitely not, that much better than... They still wanted to, destroy them, but... The plans that they had for the planet, let's just say that were not particularly great.
I just thought of something.
Well,
you know what? Something that would justify this a bit better. Instead, have this take place after the plate falls. So we're cleaning a completely destroyed and super dirty version of the bar.
Assuming it's not flattened.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah, no, that
would
be
it did eventually caught burn and fell down. So there is that.
Actually, though, yeah, I mean, shoot, that would explain also why all the walls are...
Like I said,
well...
this encapsulates the sense of humor sort of that the game has, the idea that it offers you such a bizarre situation that's made super mundane, but you're treating it like your everyday job because it is, despite everything.
I'll admit, I thought if anything was going to be the toughest in this game, it would have been, one of the more souped-up weapons of Shinra, but nah, it's Tifa's flippin' house, man.
Bar more than anything. Again,
bar, but yeah.
To be fair, I guess they did live there, but, the backyard like this, yeah.
But like the others, I want to know more about how it came to be in this state. Like, I get it, there's goons that mess up and maybe trash the place, but this? This isn't a cleaning, this is an exorcism of dirt.
This is not dirt, this is a graveyard.
Pretty much. That said, I wonder if this establishes how Tifa sort of got her in with Don Corneo, since apparently she's familiar with some of his men, if that intro
Well, remember, Sector 6 is not that far from 7, so there is that.
Also, I do dig how this does slot into the story.
I think she's about to talk about them now, as soon as I'm done with this. Yes.
That machine gun on the table belongs to a friend of mine, Barrett.
Oh, you mean that?
It's not loaded.
His literal hand,
Yeah, let's remove the weird green gonk, please.
Yeah, I hope it's not loaded.
Is it big and headed as a behemoth?
More like Nickelodeon gag again. Like, did he punch a fruit monster or something?
Moss growing on it would imply that it's been there for ages too. In which case, what is this? The future and Tifa's just a ghost speaking in our heads?
There you go. Let's clean this shit up.
He really hasn't been taking good care of it lately.
Remember, as the retcons have stated, that Buster Sword is super amazing, practically crafted by the gods themselves.
He's out helping.
That's right. That's nice, ma'am, but I'm just doing my job, please.
Also, ma'am,
I can't do mine. I'm trying to clean up here.
Also, ma'am, for all you know, I could literally be on Shinra's payroll and blab you out for a few extra dollars.
Is Tifa drunk and she's oversharing again? Might be a case.
The bartender becoming drunk and oversharing. Now that's a new level.
There we go. We cleaned the Buster Sword a bit.
Yeah.
As you can see, however, it's based on the remake design, which had those weird lines that I don't really understand. Again, I still take that over the original Crisis Core heel to design, so I don't mind that.
I'm guessing that's their compromise to still show that the Buster Sword is a special sword.
But at the very least, it's not as angelic as it was hyped up to be. Again, when we get to Crisis Core, I would like to mention that, because thankfully the Reunion version does not keep it, but it requires the context of that.
Yeah, that's right. The remake of Crisis Core pretty much compromised on the
That's because,
design
again,
of the Buster Sword.
it basically aligns up the type of aesthetic to be in line with the ones of remake. So that's also that's probably why the reason why they didn't just slap the PSP version onto the backward compatibility program like they could have easily do.
I'm guessing part of why they over-designed the Buster Sword in the original Crisis Core was, well, hey, this is our chance to have the Buster Sword in high definition, so let's make it all the more fancy.
Remember, it's something that started with Advent Children, which was released slightly before. Again, it was trying to reimagine a bit the mythos into giving, a bit more, symbology and imagery tied to angels and stuff. It's just dumb.
Like, and I sort of do get the mentality with that no, not the remake, but the 7 compilation.
Yeah.
Again, it's 7. It's big. They knew people wanted a remake, but they weren't quite there yet. But hey, we can put stuff in high definition, which means we can give stuff a ton of more detail, which we know people will pay.
Not high definition because the PSP was running out on 480p readable resolution, if I remember correctly. But
wasn't that considered high def at the time, though?
Well, at the time, not really, because the PS3 it was released right, easily alongside. The PS3, or at the very least slightly before, at worst, and the PS3 was already achieving 720, and later 1080, so...
Fair enough.
But the point is that even in promotional material, back then, remember, I was reading PlayStation magazines at the time, and they were very, very keeping attention on Crisis Core, because up until that point, for a portable console, having the level of graphical fidelity and cutscene was something that was not seen that much, even in first-party titles. So they were kind of impressed by that, and it kind of shows, because again, back then, Square Enix was actually trying to, showcase that even on a portable console they could produce at least PS2-esque type of quality title, as showcased by that title, Crisis Core, Kingdom Hearts, Birth by Sleep, and the Dissidia games. Apparently, early on, believe it or not, I found this in another interview, Pedro, The World Ends With You was originally conceived to be on the PSP. It was Nomura who pushed it on for the Nintendo DS. Apparently,
I guess
apparently for the sake of actually exploiting the Nintendo DS mechanics, so you had to thank him for that.
It also has to do probably with the fact that
the DS was more popular than the PSP.
Yeah, that too.
Even if they had to deal with compressing a lot of stuff for the DS.
Remember, Nintendo didn't have Square didn't have like a major big game for the DS. They had Crisis Core for the PSP as well as the first Dissidia, but they also wanted like a major big game that took advantage of the DS.
Tifa, how do you know?
Wait,
is she monitoring us?
I thought she said she was going on a mission, though. Like,
did she mess up this place herself and lie about it just to have someone to talk to?
Like, with the Shinra
it's starting to feel that way.
That job in Sector 1, so I've got to run.
You should have been gone already.
Why are you telling us this?
I mean, Tifa, you're popular enough. You don't need to look that. You don't need to try that hard to have someone to talk to.
Especially with the Italian politic panorama, yes.
It's true.
I even saw that fan art where Tifa's just face palming and everyone just looks bewildered, except Aerith, who's just sniggering.
Yes, Pedro?
No, the Square Enix really also because the original because we also know that Square Enix wanted something to take advantage of the DS and make like a big DS game, and Nomura saw that as an opportunity to do something.
Anyway, we're basically at the home stretch, so we just need to actually clean the stuff like the last remaining surfaces and of course the ceiling, but you might have noticed.
Wait, Tifa, you're still using analog television.
But remember, despite these being based on the remake, it still has the aesthetic of the original version, which came out in 1997.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I mean, around here, at least digital TV didn't start till the following year.
It's like how the remakes of Resident Evil do have some old-timey stuff from the 90s.
Also, Dweebs, it's a good thing you didn't notice that during A New Beginning, because, one reviewer that I noticed, that reviewed the game did mention that a lot of the technology used in that game is very anachronistic for the 80s, including flat-screen PCs.
I've slowly started accepting the fact that people do lump the 90s in with old-timey, quote-unquote.
I mean,
I know, right? Unfortunately, we are now to that point where people see our decade as the old one.
I mean, again, there was stuff like...
Live long enough and that will happen.
There was, if you remember, the 19th nostalgia was not started, but prevalently noticeable in stuff like, say, the first Captain Marvel movie, with her crashing in a blockbuster, for example.
I love how blockbusters are now a good way to tell when something takes place in the 90s.
Indirectly, but yes, they are a time capsule, so yes.
We still technically have, like, one blockbuster still alive, but yeah.
There we are. Almost done.
Part of me does wonder if blockbusters still could have made it in today's world.
I don't know. Remember, Netflix did have a program of renting DVDs, that could be sent, but they did stop using that relatively recently because it wasn't as profitable anyway.
With digital copies of movies that basically render places like Blockbuster obsolete.
Shoot, Amazon are even doing, like, digital rentals for
videos. Text is still going strong.
The one market I could see them maybe still cashing in on would have been video game rentals, which... I think Blockbuster were doing that at some point. I can't think of any place that does do that nowadays.
I mean, from a practical standpoint, Jova, why bother going all the way to Blockbuster, this is potentially spending gas, when you can just, for $4, just rent it on YouTube? I mean,
that is true. Shoot, yeah, YouTube now of all places.
Yeah, but the kids won't get the experience of going there and picking out a DVD.
Also,
but here's the thing, Shiro.
Go.
See, the thing about that, Shiro, is that
and it's Cloud that gives us the debriefing.
Not bad. Done a lot of cleaning as a merc.
I love it how each of the characters have like a Telegram-esque, avatar with letters representing first and last name.
Almost like they're speaking via Skype, too.
Well, at least Cloud said goodbye.
Go on, Pedro.
See, the thing is, like I said, you're kind of romanticizing that experience, because when you actually take an objective look at how it was, think about it. You have to leave the home, you have to go in your car, which means you spend gas, which is expensive.
But, the children don't care about that.
Well, they should.
I'm talking about that experience.
Yeah, you see, we were the kids who just did the writing and the picking.
Also,
of course.
Also, there's the fact that you might have the children accidentally pick up something that you don't want them to. Believe it or not, when I was 7, I almost managed to rent Cool World from a Blockbuster, and my parents were like, "Nope."
Not to mention, Shiro, how about those times where we rent a VHS or a DVD that has already been used to high and it's completely scratched, and basically when you try to view it, it's a fucking nightmare because it keeps skipping and it's everything. So,
hey guys, remember the woes of mistaking a Betamax tape for a VHS tape?
Beta. Alright, anyway, in the next part, which is the last, we will actually finish this package and clean up the two remaining things, clean up the two remaining objects in this case. The Mako Energy exhibit at one of the Shinra floors, and the Airbuster. So see you for that.
See ya.
Bye.